Right, let's start today's session. In the last session, we were discuss about how to create console application, how to add class to the existing console application, and how to execute particular class in console application project we have seen. Now today we'll continue that. But before going to continue that, how to open existing application, you can say this. Go to Visual Studio, and if you want to open your existing application, left hand side there were recent projects will be available. Now you can see this. Previously, recently, what I opened the projects, console app 1 solution started at 7 p.m. Console app 1 is there. Either you can click on here or else you can go to open project or solution option. Anyone you can go through that. So let's click on open a project or solution, and it will locate your computer drives. So in which drive you saved that, you should go there. So I saved in the last session .NET at G drive and .NET at 7 p.m. also there. Double click on this one folder. Console app 1 is my application name. Double click on it, and you can see this is the solution file console app 1. So let's click to open. Previously, what programs we have written, that programs are executing like this. So this is class 1 here. Okay, so class 2 also we discussed. This is how to accept value at runtime, that is string value, in the last session. But today I want to discuss how to accept integer values at runtime. Integer values means, see here in this program, the integer values already I have given, like 10 value for A, 20 value for B. So we are printing that. Even we can add these two numbers also. Directly C value also you can return. So now you can see, just I want to add this into C equals to A plus B. And if you want to display C value, then what we need to do, so directly we can able to display C value like this. Sum is plus result is available in where C only. Let's run class1.cs. I want to change startup object of class 1 now. How do we change startup object? You know that. Let's go to Solution Explorer and double click on properties. Once you double click on properties, it will ask you to change the name of the class which you want to run, class 1, and click on save it and run it. So in this program, inside the program only values given, A value 10, B value 20, then A plus B, that is 10 plus 20, that is available. It's very simple. But now I don't want to give the values inside the program. These values I want to give at running time. While executing the program, I should give values at runtime. For that, you know that very well. You can see class 1. In the previous program, you can see this program is showing that how to accept string value at runtime. I'm entering the name at runtime. That name will go and stored in S variable, and console.writeline, your name is so and so, S is coming. But now this time what I need to do, I need to accept values at runtime, that is two values at runtime. What are the two values? A value and B value, that is integer values I want to accept at runtime. But here in C#.NET especially, if we give any values at runtime, if we give any values at runtime, that are by default treated as string. Suppose here I'm asking to the user enter two numbers. So I'm asking two numbers only. Number 1 is 10. Second number is 20. My input is 10 and 20. These two numbers are there. But even though if I give my input is 10 and 20, but this values also internally is going to treat it as by default what, string only. But actually you are trying to consider as integer only. But actually implicit conversion is not possible. Implicit conversion means by default that the string value to integer value cannot be converted. As a programmer, you should convert explicitly. To convert explicitly from string value to integer, we use conversion methods. That means typecasting, we can say that, converting from one data type to another data type. You may get doubt, sir, in the last program also You ask a runtime value, but you are not converting this. Yes, why I need not to convert? Because we are entering the name. The name is what string. You are entering the name as string, but application also will be treated them as string only. No problem at all. Anyway, we are going to display string only. But this time, what I'm asking numbers, two numbers at runtime, 10 and 20. But you are entering numbers, but it will be treated as what string only. But you need not to add string. We have to add integer numbers. 10 plus 20, I want to do. At that time, though it is treated as string, you have to be convert from string to integer. So to convert from string to integer, to convert from string to integer, to convert from string to integer, string to integer, we use conversion methods. We use conversion methods. We use conversion methods. What are the conversion methods are there? I'll tell you. Two conversion methods are there. I'll tell you clear difference between these two conversion methods also. One is convert dot to int method. Next one is int dot parse method. Int dot parse method. Any one of these method you can use. Why these two methods? To convert from string data type to integer values, we use these two methods, convert dot to int as well as int dot parse. First, let me show you the difference between these two methods, convert dot to int and int dot parse method. What is the difference between these two methods? Then later, I'll write a program how to convert a runtime integer values into integer format. Why? Because when we enter it, if we give any values at runtime that are by default treated as string format, but my requirement is I need to consider as an integer only, but you have to convert from string to integer. To convert from string to integer, we use conversion methods. One is convert dot to int method and int dot parse method. Let me show the difference between convert dot to int and int dot parse method first. For that, I'm taking one simple program, add class, project menu, add class. I'm taking here class name, let it be 3 only. Now, so main method, you know how to take main method. So svm tab double time to tab double time, you can press on tab key. So you just see this string s equals to string s equals to I'm taking 100. Do you think it is string? Is it string? Yes, 100 value is there. But where I keep 100 value inside the double quotes, whatever the values we give inside the double quotes, then that is string format only by default. Wantedly, I'm giving this 100 is a string format only. So I want to convert that string to integer. You know that how to convert the string to integer? We use two methods, convert dot to int and int dot parse. Let's apply two methods so that I can show difference between the two methods, convert dot to int and int dot parse. First, I'm taking console dot write line of convert dot to int method to int. But look at here. When I take to int method, there are three options are there: to int 16, to int 32, to int 64. I'll explain you about this later. In this session only, I'll explain that. Now I'm taking to int 32. Which value you want to convert? S value. S is my string value, but I need to convert the string into integer format. Now, at the same time, we can also convert by using int.parse method, console.writeLine, int.parse method I'm taking. Int.parse of S I'm taking. Finally, to stay back to our screen, console.read I'm using. Console.read. So, first line is just declaring a string value to S variable. I'm assigning string value to S variable. But I want to convert this string to integer. To convert from string to integer, we use these two methods. So to show the difference between these two methods, I took this example. You know this, let's change the startup object first. Let's see this, how execution is going to be happen. Double click on properties. Now class 3, click on save it and run it. Now you can see this. Once I converted from string to integer, so two statements are there in my program. Statement number 1 is convert dot to int method I use. Statement number 2 is int.parse method I use. So once this value, string value is converted into integer format, so we are expecting the output like 100, 100 for convert dot to int purpose, another 100 for int dot par purpose, int dot parse purpose. We took this one. Okay, 200s are coming. But what is the difference between these two? Yes. So I'll tell you. For sure that if the string value is going to convert it from string to integer by using convert dot to int and int dot parse, that means both methods are successfully convert from string value to integer, for sure that. But to know the difference between convert dot to int and int dot parse, slightly I'm changing the code. You can see this. String s equals to null. I'm taking null. Null means nothing is there in the variable. S is don't have any variable. String s equals to null. So once we execute this, what will happen? Previously, that 100 string value was converted successfully into integer format. Both methods convert dot to int and int dot parse are successfully convert them into integer. So that's what we are getting 200 values. 100 for convert dot to int purpose, another 100 for int dot parse. But now you can see here we are declaring string s equals to null. If the variable is don't have anything means we have to say null in the string format. But same thing you can say in the integer format. If variable is don't have anything means what we can say 0. So actually according to this program we expect two zeros. One zero is for convert dot to int and another zero is for int dot parse. Understand? So that's the reason what I'm saying here. You can see this. 10 only it is coming clearly. Only 10 is available here. But what about another zero? It is showing exception like error. Like an exception is unhandled. Value cannot be null, it is showing. Which line you got error? Int dot parse is we got error. Means convert dot to int method is successfully convert from string value to integer. Like 100 is a string. It's converted successfully. We got 100 in output. And also it converts successfully from null value to integer. Null representation is string, but it's converted into integer format like 0. But whereas int dot parse is successfully convert from string value to integer, but it is not able to convert from null value to integer. So null value to integer is not possible with int dot parse. So this is the main difference you have to observe here. Whenever in your program, if you want to convert from a string value to integer, both method anyone you can use. But when we try to convert a null value to integer, don't use int dot parse method. I strongly recommend to use convert dot to int method only here. Okay. So this program is just for demonstrate what is the main difference between convert dot to int method and int dot parse method only. But now I'm going to write one simple program, accept two values at runtime for adding two numbers. But here in this program, inside the program only values I assign values to the variables. Here no need to convert any values. Directly we have declared integer values only it's going to be added. But now this type of values I want to accept at running time. Now let's try to take one more program for accepting values at runtime. So class 4. Now I'm adding class 4 values. Now svm static void main. First let me write this one. Console.write line, enter two numbers. Enter two numbers. But before the two numbers, I need to declare three variables. Int a, b, c. A and b are going to enter at runtime, and c value is the result value purpose I'm taking. Okay. So a value, b value, we are taking at runtime, and c value purpose c value is just for adding purpose. So a value. So you need to add values at runtime. So to accept values at runtime, what we need to do? Console.readline method I'm using. Here also b equals to console.readline method I'm using. Console.readline method I'm using. Readline. C equals to a plus b. Finally, what I want to show console.writeLine. So sum is less c. These are the basics things which I'm taking. To stay back to our screen, console.read. To stay back to our screen, console.what I'm taking, read only here. This is. But look at here, the error is coming clearly in underline squiggling is there. So reads the next lines of characters from standard input stream. But look at the error here, cannot implicitly convert type string to integer. Meaning is what? So you are reading the values at running time. Whatever the values you are reading at running time, input as a input characters, by default it treated as a characters or string format only. But you are expecting some integer numbers, you declare as an integer. So implicitly it is cannot convert from string to integer. So implicit conversion is not possible. So explicitly we can able to convert from string to integer. How do we convert explicitly? By using conversion method. Any one of the conversion method you can use in this case. As I said that to convert from string to integer, we use conversion methods. One is convert.toInt and the next one is int.parse. Any one you can use. I'm using first convert.toInt. Even you can also use int.parse also, no problem at all. Look at here, I'm trying to do this convert.toInt method I'm taking. First, let me take toInt 32. Later, I'll show you how to take 16 like and that 64 like that only. Okay, just here also I'm taking convert dot toInt 32 of console dot read line here. So now this is perfect. Why? Because at running time, whatever the values I'm giving for A input and B input, by default it will be treated as string. But we apply convert.toInt method, no? So it will turn into integer. Finally, integer value will be stored in A. Again, one more integer value will be stored in B. Two integers we are adding. Finally, third integer will be created like adding sum of two values. So C value I'm printing. So this is the way to conversion specifications are there in C#.NET. Let's go for properties and change startup object to execute proper programs class 4 and click on save it and run this now. I can say enter two numbers. If I'm entering 10 and 20 and we got clear values like sum is 30, 10 plus 20, 30 only here. Okay, we are inputting values at runtime, but we are converting that into integer format. We are able to convert even instead of convert dot to into 32. So you can also take int.parse also, no problem at all. Int.parse, int.parse. Here also I'm taking int.parse, int.parse, int.parse. Now you can see enter two numbers, any values you can take it, no problem. It is coming clearly. So this is the problem actually, int.parse. Okay. Now, for example, you can see this. Sir, if I'm entering this runtime, for example, I want to add it like 52.4 floating point representing. Okay, when we enter that, again it will show error. Why it is show error? Because you can see the reason is you declared as an integer, but your input is not correct in format. You are entering input as a floating point only. You are declaring as an integer, but you are taking input as a character floating point. That's not good idea. So what we need to do here, we have to take float values, at least float. Then even if you take float, okay, you are declaring a float, but even when we enter values at runtime, float values also, that is treated as string only, no? So that's what we have to convert that float.parse, not int.parse. So you can make it as float.parse only here. Float.parse. Here I'm using float.parse. Then only we can able to add successfully. Now this will work for float as well as integer only now. You can see this. Even I'm taking 52.3 and 12 I'm taking. So one float, one integer or two integers like this we can able to add it. So this is the conversion from one data type to another data type. So let's keep it as integer only. I'm pressing Ctrl Z for making same thing. Now, so here I'm using convert.toInt32. Now this time I'm going to show you 16 and 32 and 64 just because of your range of input. So it depends on your range of input, you can decide. For example, if I'm giving 16, okay, here minimum range of inputs only we can able to give. Like you can see I'm taking 2 in 16 means I can able to add like here 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 digit integer number I'm trying to add it. You can able to add it clearly. But whenever we have our value is exceeding more than convert.toInt16 mechanism, like here I'm giving 5-digit integer number, so it's coming clear system.overflow expression. Value was either too large or too small for int16 actually here. Okay, it's not suitable for this kind of range of values. So see, 2int16 and 2int32 and 2int64, it depends on input range of values. Later I'll give the data type ranges and all, you don't worry. So just I'm explaining here. And 2int32, if I'm taking now, you can see minimum range you can take. So that's what I recommend, to use 32 is enough. So medium range of values you can able to add it. But if you want to take large extent values, then 2int64 you can go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 digits up to I can able to add it clearly here. Just because of range only. Later I'll tell you range, what is the exactly range. Now if I give some extra values like here also, it will get error. You will get error. Okay. Yes, because of your input range depends on your input range. You have to take 2int32 or 2int64. But look at here, 2int32 and 2int16 is best suitable for integer data type only. But if I'm taking here 2int64, 64 is nothing but large extent values. But you are taking what small values, but you are asking them into convert large values. It is not possible. Error is showing here. Now you can see there were the build errors. So what is the build error? You can see this cannot implicitly convert type long to integer. An explicit conversion exists here. Okay, an explicit conversion exists. So are you missing? For example, let's take here long long I'm taking. So is it possible or not? Yes, it is possible, undoubtedly. You can see long type I'm taking instead of integer type. So you can able to do this, whatever the values you are taking, like this only. We can convert, we can able to handle it clearly. But look at here, even if I'm trying to take floating point numbers, you can see just I'm taking floating point numbers here. Now it is going to show error. Why? Because so a long type you are asking, but you are asking them into again integer type. So floating point representation is not possible. At that time, you can see floating point representation purpose. What we need to take here, instead of long, you can take double. Double means floating, or float means also floating, both. But when we take double values, now again you can see convert dot to in 64. It will work for integer only, not for floating point again. If even you can see floating point, it will show exception here. Why? Because you are taking double value, means floating value, integer value, but you are again asking them into integer format only, not. So instead of what we need to take convert dot to in 64, we have to take two double here. Two double I'm taking. Here also I'm taking two double, two double. Convert dot two double here. Just give me one thing. Two double I'm taking. So once you take two double, then happily you can able to add integer numbers or floating point numbers, any numbers like this here. Like it is possible here. So this is the conversion specification, data type conversion mechanism, how to do this in C#.NET. We discussed to accept values at runtime. By default, any value if you enter at runtime, so that will be treated as what format? String format only. But if you want to convert that into integer format as per your requirement, you have to go for convert.toInt or int.parse method like this one. Okay. So these are the basics things, basic programs. Now next we'll go for another basic things like control statements in C#.NET. Yes, in every programming language, control statements are important. Control statements means what? Once we use control statements, as a programmer, you can have control on your program. But if you don't have control statements, you can't control your program. So control statements are used to control your program, in which situation, which block of code need to be executed. And in some situation, we are going to avoid some block of code execution. At that time, we can go for control statements. So the name itself, the definition is there. Once we use control statements as a programmer, you can maintain the control flow of your program execution. So control statements are three types. One is conditional statements. One is conditional statements. Conditional statements. Next one is iterative statements. Iterative statements. Next one is transfer statements, transfer statements, transfer statements, conditional statements, iterative statements, transfer statements. Conditional statements are like this: if condition, next if else, next nested if, nested if, nested if, now switch, switch. These are the conditional statements. Based on the condition only, these conditional statements will work. If else, nested if, switch. Iterative statements are there. Iterative statements means for loop, while loop, do while loop, sorry, for loop, while loop, do while loop. These are the iterative statements. Do while loop, do while loop. Next, transfer statements means these are break, continue. These are all transfer statements only. If else, nested if, switch. These are conditional statements. For loop, while loop, do while loop. These are iterative statements. Transfer statements means break and continue. And here there is one more loop also there, for each loop. For each loop is also there. For each loop. For each loop. Okay. So we'll start with conditional statements. So conditional statements are if only first. So what is if here? First I'll talk about if. If is used to test, if is used to test the specific condition, if is used to test the specific condition, specific condition. Next, if the condition is true, if the condition is true, then if block will execute. If block will execute. If block will execute. Otherwise, nothing will execute. Otherwise, nothing. Otherwise, nothing. Nothing will execute. Sure. Means no execution will be happen. Otherwise, nothing. So syntax of if is what you can see this. Syntax is that is if open bracket. You can mention the condition here. Okay. Open bracket, close bracket. Here valid statements in the if block only. These are the statements of if block. So let me show you one simple example how to work with this if condition. If is used to test a specific condition. If the condition is true, then if block will execute. Otherwise, nothing will execute. So let's see this, how it is possible to do this. Let me take one simple program for this. I'm adding. Now I'm taking main method. Look at here. If I don't have main method in this class 5, but even when we try to change startup object here, when we go for properties and expand this one, do we have any class 5? No. That means only in this startup object, the programs which are having main method only, that programs are available in the startup object. So let's go and include in this class 5 main method. And again, you can go and check out in the Solution Explorer and properties. And you can see properties, class 5 is there, class 5. And click on save it. Now it is class 5 is execute now onwards. Okay. So I'm going to take one value 100. Int a equals to 100. I want to check if a equals to 100 or not. Equals to means comparison. So it's a relational operator. If it is really true, equal to matches, then it return true. Otherwise, it return false. So I want to say like this here. You can see console.writeLine, console.writeLine. Here I'm going to say true. When it is my condition is true, then I want to say true. That's it. Only we are going to test only specific condition. After completion of checking condition, console.read I'm taking. This is what console.read. Read. Console.read. So let's run this one. You can see I'm checking the condition. According to my program, condition is correct. Then it is written true only. Let me keep the breakpoint whether it is condition true or not. So where we should keep the breakpoint, here you should keep the breakpoint. After keeping breakpoint, you have to run this one. Once we keep the breakpoint, it will check the condition. Now you can see A value already 100. A is holding 100 value. Here also 100 value. 100 equal to 100 true. So whenever true is there, then control will jump into inside the if block. So press F11, function key, press F11. Then you can see it is going to inside the if block only. Then we are getting output like true only here. Okay. So, but suppose if my value is 10 only, then what will happen? You can see this 10 is going to compare with 100. If the condition is true, now a value 10 only, a value 10, but here I'm taking a value 10, 10 equal to 100, it's a false. Once it is false, then what will happen here? If your condition is false, nothing will execute here. Now press F11, it will jump into out of the loop, out of the block. If condition, nothing is there in the output. Because as I said that clearly. So what is the if condition? If condition is used to test the specific condition. If the condition is true, then only if block will execute. Otherwise, nothing will execute. So syntax is this one only. Now I'm going to discuss about if else. Sir, in the condition false also, I need to say something to the user. So then we can go for if else block we can use. If else we can use. You can see this. I'm trying to take if else. So how to take if else, you can see this. Same if else and if both are same. You can see this. If else is used to execute, test the specific condition. It is used to test the specific condition. If the condition is true, if the condition is true, then if block will execute. Otherwise, which block will execute? Else block will execute. Here I'm saying. If the condition is true, if block will execute. Otherwise, else block will execute. Else block will execute. We can say that. This is else block. Now, the syntax of if else block is what here? You can see this. This is syntax. First, control will jump into if condition is checking. If it is true, then it will execute if block only. If it is false, control will not execute if block statements. It will come to the else block. So else block only will execute now. Else block is there here. So in my program, I'm adding else block also here. If else I'm taking. So else open. Now console.writeLine. What statements you want to display to the user when the if condition is false. What output you want to show, then you can write it in the if block on else block only. Here I'm writing the code in else block. Now this time you can see I'm keeping the breakpoint here once again. Which block is executing, you have to know that. So after keeping breakpoint, you just run this once. Once we execute this one after keeping breakpoint, now you can see a value 10, 10 equal to 100. It is not correct actually here, false. When we press F11, it will go there what else block only it will consider. You can see else block is printing. So once we show the output here, false is there here. Let me make the condition is true wanted here. I'm taking 100. Once we just run this one, now this time you can see this, press F11, a value 100, 100 equals to 100, true only it is. Once it is true, then press F11. Control will jump into inside the if block only. Once if the condition is true, then else block will not execute for sure. That you can see else block will ignore. So we got output called true only, here it is. So this is what if else condition we are going to check that. Okay. So look at here, if I'm going to accept a value at runtime also, yes, you can accept value at runtime also. How to accept runtime? Now convert dot to int 32 of, just wait, convert dot to into 32 of. Then what we need to do, console dot read line. To accept value at runtime, we have to use this things actually. That's it. Now, first before that, what I want to do, I have to display some message to the user in the output window. Enter a number. Enter a number. So user will enter that number. As soon as when we enter the number, that has to go and stored in a variable. I want to check that whether even number or odd number. So that's what a modulus 2 equal to 0. Then I have to say that is even number. Otherwise is odd number. I want to say based on my condition. My condition is very clear. If a number modulus 2 equal to 0, then what is that? Is even. Then else is odd. Let's check out here. I'm asking number at running time now. So enter a number 8. So is even, like this it's coming. Understand? And again, once again, I'm trying to enter this one. Now this time I'm trying to add odd number. Now you can see I'm entering 9. So 9 is odd. It is coming. But in this output, if you want to display some your number also, like number also means like a plus I'm taking here. A means my input number only, whatever we input at runtime. That I'm telling is that number plus even or odd. I am showing that. Suppose 9 enter, 9 is odd. It is showing 9 is odd. But here 9 plus is odd. Both combinedly it's going to display, but there is no uh, uh, space in between, so that's what we need to do. I'll tell you just width. I want to reduce something. 80 width I'm taking. Let's Yeah. So window width I'm reducing. Output window 9 is odd. So how to provide some space between your values? Now you can see I'm giving space plus is even like this. Here I'm giving space plus is odd like this. So this is called space providing here. Your input value and printing value. For both of them, I'm giving some space between them. So let's run this once again. Now you can see we are entering that 8. So 8 is even, 8 space is even like this it's coming. So if else condition we are checking like this only. This is if else block only here. Okay. Now there is nested if also there. Nested if is nothing but what it is used to test multiple conditions, not only one condition. If one of the condition is false also, then I can able to check other condition, that is nested if. Nested if is used to test multiple condition, or else we can consider like this. If a if block or else block which is having one more if else within it, that is called nested if, we can say that. A if block or else block which is having one more if else is nothing but nested if. I'll tell you how to work with nested if. You just see this in this program only. I'm trying to write the code. I'm expecting number at runtime. So I'm just condition I'm passing here. If a greater than 20, I'm writing here a is greater than 20. A is greater than 20. Sorry. Uh, okay, a is greater than 20 only. Now here if block it is. Okay, else block. Again I'm writing one more if condition here. If a greater than 15, open and close. Now this statement I'm copying this one. Now here I'm placing a is greater than 15. Okay. Now here I'm taking else block. Now here I'm placing one more time. A is not greater than 20 and 15 I'm taking. So this is what I want to do here. Look at it. This is nested if. First we have to enter a number at runtime. Whatever we enter the number, that number will check with this condition. If that number greater than 20, then I'm saying that A is greater than 20. If not, if this condition is false, immediately control will jump into a else block. In the else block, then if a greater than 15, again one more time condition will check. If a is greater than 15, then it is showing a is greater than 15. Then else, if not, this is also not correct, then it will go to here. Finally, to stay back to our screen, what we need to do, console.read we have to use. Already we use console.read. Let's run this one. I'll check it with breakpoint also. That's better actually, whether it is going to else block or if block. You can see this. I'll keep the breakpoint and I'll test it now. So I'm inputting number is like, for example, I'm taking a value 10 I'm taking. Press enter. So a value 10, 10 greater than 20. Now you can see greater than 20, it's false. Press F11. Whenever it is false, control jump into else block. In the else block, it will check condition 10 greater than 15. It is also false. Once it is false, it will jump into else block. Finally, we are getting that a is not greater than 20. It's showing and 15. So I can see 10 is not greater than 20 and 15. A value 10 only. 10 is greater than, not greater than what we can say, uh, 15 and 20. It's clear. Let's close this now. This time I'm going to enter value called some 18. Suppose I am entering my input is 18. Press enter. Once we press enter, now you can see 18 greater than 20. It's a false. Press F11. It will jump into else plot. 18 greater than 15 is there. 18 greater than 15. True. Once it is true, then it will happen. Here it will only jump. Second nested if only will execute. Now else part is ignored. Now you can see we are getting output called 18 is greater than 20. It's coming. Next, first once we execute once again. If the condition is satisfied in the first part only, first case only, what's happening? Yes, first block only will execute. For example, 25 I'm giving. So 25 is a value greater than 20. Okay, 20. Then 25 greater than 20 is correct only. If it is correct, then control will jump into inside the block, and no chance of this else part. It will go here inside. Directly control will jump into out of the if conditions. You can see this. We are getting 20 is greater than 25 is greater than 20, like this only it's coming. So this is multiple condition purpose. We can use this if else and so on, like this. How many number of nested blocks if you want, you can take it, no problem at all. Okay, so this is about a conditional statement. Switch case is also there, that I'll explain you tomorrow session. Switch, and after that iterative statements are there, that is for loop, while loop, do while loop. Okay, and for each loop, break and continue. How to use these are very important for the logic purpose. As a programmer, you must and should understand these all logics before going to work with our C#.NET concepts. These are very simple. If we take any language like C, C++, Java, Python, everywhere these conditions are there. But once again, I'm going to tell you. So because those who don't know at least these also, then they can understand. No, without this, we can't move forward to write the code actually. If I use directly these blocks of code there, again, you may get doubt what is these conditions. So that's what I'm explaining, control statements. Once we have the control statements in this program, so when we implement these control statements in the program, so as a programmer, you can have some control on your program. When do we execute certain amount of code, or when you not? So you can decide it based on your conditional passing only. Okay, if you don't have any conditions, directly all statements will execute directly, no problem at all. Okay, so that we'll discuss in tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll continue here. So I received the mail IDs from Durga Soft, 2 mail IDs who paid already, so who registered. For them, I'll send all recorded videos up to now, whatever sessions I recorded. This is the 4th session, I think so. And along with material also, I'll send, no problem. And those who not registered so far, please do immediately. So then only I can get mail IDs from Durga Soft. For them only, I'll send videos and material clearly. Okay. So do it immediately if not done. See you tomorrow at same time. We'll continue that.